terlebih dahulu mengisi kursi dari baris terdepan. Terima kasih. Bapak Ibu tamu undangan yang kami hormati, sesaat lagi kegiatan akan segera dimulai. Kami mohon perkenan Bapak Ibu untuk menempati kursi yang telah tersedia, dimulai dari baris terdepan. Ladies and gentlemen, shortly we will begin the event. Please be seated. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and join me in welcoming our VIP guest, Bapak Mirza Adityaswara, Bapak Suahasil Nazara, dan Bapak Ogi Prastomiono. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, please rise for our national anthem, Indonesia Raya. You may be seated. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor for me to introduce Vice Chairman of OJK Board of Commissioner, Bapak Mirza Adityaswara. Vice Minister of Finance of the Republic of Indonesia, Bapak Suahasil Nazara. Selamat pagi, Pak. Chief Executive of Insurance, Guarantee Institutions, and Pension Fund Supervision of OJK, Bapak Ogi Prastomiono. OJK Deputy Commissioner of Financing Institution and Other Financial Services, Bapak Bambang Budiawan. Head of Regional 8 Bali and Nusa Tenggara, Ibu Kristrianti Pujirahayu. Department Head of Other Financial Services Institution Supervision of OJK, Bapak Triono. Head of Departments, Head of OJK Regional Offices, Directors, and other OJK officials. Honorable representatives of Association and Financial Services Industry, and all speakers and moderators. We also welcome all the honored guests of today's seminar. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are proudly present and welcome you to OJK's International Seminar in the topic of promoting digital finance inclusion for consumers and MSMEs through the use of credit scoring. Ladies and gentlemen, please let me introduce myself. My name is Idam Barik, and I will be the master of ceremony for this event. Today is the second day of OJK's International Seminar on promoting digital finance inclusion for consumers and MSMEs through the use of credit scoring. In the second day of the seminar, we will be having several agenda, namely welcoming remarks by Deputy Commissioner of Multifinance and Other Financial Services Institution Supervision of OJK, Bapak Bambang. Keynote speech by Vice Chairman of OJK Board of Commissioner. Visionary speech by Vice Minister of Finance of the Republic of Indonesia, followed by fruitful seminar discussions by distinguished moderators and speakers, and lastly, closing remarks of seminar session by OJK Department Head of Other Financial Institution Supervision. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to inform you that today we will finish the event early before the Friday prayer time. And as for the focus group discussion would be closed for the Department of Other Financial Services Institution Supervision, OJK. It's only for internal. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we are opening today's session with the welcoming remarks by OJK Deputy Commissioners of Financing Institution and Other Financial Services. Please welcome Bapak Bambang Budiawan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable mention to Bapak Mirza Adityaswara, Vice Chairman of OJK, Bapak Suahasil Nazara, Vice Minister of Finance, Republic of Indonesia, Bapak Ogi Prastomiono, Chief Executive of Non-Bank Financial Institution Supervision of OJK, Mr. Triono, Bapak Triono, OJK Department of Other Financial Institution Supervision, Head of Regional Offices and OJK Offices, Directors, Deputy Directors, and other OJK officials, Bapak Cyril Nurhadi, Independent Supervisory Board Member INA and Chairman of Creator Indonesia, Mr. Kevin Lah, Senior Managing Director Creator, Mr. Ivo Kolev, Group Chief Data and Product Officer, CTOS, Honorable Representative of Association and Financial Service Industry, and all speakers and moderators. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great honor to welcome you all to this event. First, let us give thanks and praise to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for the blessing that have allowed us to gather here, both physically and virtually, to attend the second day of the International Seminar on Promoting Digital Finance Inclusion for Consumers and MSMEs through the use of credit scoring. Ladies and gentlemen, we have designed this seminar to conduct a comprehensive study on the role of credit scoring in developing digital ecosystem, supporting economic growth. We recognize that credit scoring is essential in facilitating financial access and promoting financial inclusion for individuals and businesses. By examining the basic principle of credit scoring and how it is used to develop and support the financial ecosystem, we hope to better understanding its impact on economic growth. Through this seminar, we also aim to explore the two primary roles of credit scoring. First, supporting financial inclusion, and second one is managing credit risks. With this knowledge, we can provide valuable insight to policymakers and industry players in formulating appropriate policies and strategies that promote a healthy and sustainable financial ecosystem. During the first day of this event yesterday, we discussed various crucial topics concerning credit scoring and its significant role in financial ecosystem. Specifically, we focus on understanding the fundamental principle of credit scoring and how both the public credit registries and private credit bureau work to support and develop the financial ecosystem. Both organizations are responsible to promote financial access and independence of our community. At the seminar, we also discussed how credit bureaus, LPIP, could increase credit awareness for consumers and MSMEs. By obtaining the credit reports from credit bureaus, individuals and MSMEs can improve their understanding of their history and identify areas for improvement. Additionally, we explored the correlation between alternative data and credit regarding financial inclusion. Alternative data can be specifically beneficial for those lacking a formal credit history or deemed unbanked and underbanked. We examined also regulatory models such as in Malaysia and South Korea on managing emerging risks such as credit risk involving credit bureaus and regulatory roles, and also understanding the effect of credit bureau as on financial access for consumer and MSMEs each country. Today, discussion will be discussed and explore a credit score potential as a driver to economic growth and MSME development. We will also gather insight and expectation from the industry regarding credit scoring in Indonesia by inviting speakers from credit bureau players, innovative credit scoring players, and fintech associations. Ladies and gentlemen, credit scoring is crucial tools that can help MSMEs access financing. Lenders can determine their creditworthiness by assessing a borrower credit history and other relevant financial information. MSMEs greatly benefiting from having a good credit score as it affects their ability to secure loans and credit. A good credit score can provide them with better financing terms, such as lower interest rates and more extended repayment periods, which can lead to the growth and expansion of their business. Consequently, of course, contributing to our economic development. Credit scoring also supports the development of credit history for MSMEs by showing responsible financial behavior, which can result in better financing options in the future. Ultimately, credit scoring is essential in promoting financial inclusion and fostering the growth of MSMEs by promoting responsible lending and borrowing practices. Collaboration between credit bureaus and fintech innovative credit scoring, ICS, can be a game changer in promoting financial inclusion for MSMEs. Credit bureaus collect and maintain information on credit stories, while ICS analyzes alternative data to assess credit worthiness. By working together, it can help increase access to financing for MSMEs, in particular those needing a formal credit history. Using alternative data and advanced analytics, fintech credit scoring can provide a more comprehensive view of borrower creditworthiness and helping lenders make more lending decisions. Ladies and gentlemen, to conclude this welcoming remark, we emphasize the importance of discussion and insight shared at these 2 days. Through this seminar, we better understanding credit scoring and its relationship with credit bureaus and ICS fintech. By working together and sharing knowledge, we can benefit MSMEs by increasing their chances of obtaining financing with more favorable terms. By collaborating with credit bureau, financing and fintech companies can also help to expand credit reporting coverage. Once again, we would like to express our gratitude to all speakers and moderators, industry experts, policymakers, and other stakeholders who have participated in this event. Your valuable contribution have made this seminar successful, and we appreciate your dedication to advancing the field of digital financial inclusion. With the conclusion of this event, we look forward to future collaboration and discussion that will contribute to more equitable and thriving financial ecosystem. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Pak Bambang, for such a warm welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, and now for the keynote speech by Vice Chairman of OJK Board of Commissioner, please give a warmest welcome to Bapak Mirza Adityaswara.
Good morning, selamat pagi. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Om Swastiastu. Pak Suahasil, yang kami hormati, Pak Wamen, Pak Ogi, Komisioner IKNB, Kepala Eksekutif, Pak Bambang Didut biasa dipanggil, Pak Triyono dari asosiasi, dan juga Pak Cyril ada di sini, Bu Puji, Kepala OJK Bali, and all the participants from Indonesia and also from other country. Welcome to Bali. Selamat datang di Bali. Glad to see that now all the big hotels in Bali are full of people, full of activities, seminar, tourism. That's good. And I think it's not only in Indonesia, but in other countries in the world, all the activities already back to normal. I don't want to talk too long. It's already mentioned by Pak Bambang Didut, yeah. But I think the message is this is in the internal OJK. Actually, this is a collaboration effort, yeah. Because in OJK, SLIC, yeah, credit informations, that's under banking sector, because that's the story is came from Bank Indonesia, central bank, because you know OJK is between central bank and Ministry of Finance, yeah, that's the history. And then the alternative credit scoring is in OJK now is managed under PAOGI, yeah, is under the non-bank financial institutions. So this is a collaborative effort, and for Indonesia, that's big countries, and the number of people is close to 300 million, and from Sabang to Merauke, yeah, if you fly from Aceh to Papua, maybe takes you 8 hours to 10 hours, yeah. And we still need a lot of credit penetrations, yeah. In terms of GDP, credit in Indonesia now probably is only around 35%, yeah, not more than 40% of GDP, yeah, compared to other countries, even emerging countries, maybe in Thailand, yeah, is already maybe more than 70% of credits to GDP. So still a lot of room to grow for credits in Indonesia. And we are not only talking about banking credits, yeah. We're talking about financing from non-bank, yeah. Financing from pegadaian, apa bahasa Inggrisnya pegadaian itu? Pawn shop, financing from LKM, apalagi itu namanya? The informal financing, yeah. So and we are in the digital era. We are in the digital era. So to grow credits, informations from activities, from digital activities, yeah, you can use these informations to grow credit in Indonesia, yeah. And we now have a new trend of buy now, pay later, yeah, for examples, yeah. So alternative credit scoring is becoming important, and I think is will be more important in the future, yeah. Of course, is the technology, the formula, yeah, that's developing, and that's important. So if you see here, I'm here, Pak Ogi here, and Pak Wamen, Pak Vice Minister of Finance is here. it's not because this is Bali and then we like to come to Bali. Yeah, of course, that's one. Yeah. But the other thing that is important is to send a message. Yeah. That's still a lot of room to grow for various kind of credits in Indonesia. And for this, we need helping, yeah. We need helping. We need help from a better informations and improve technology, yeah. And that's can come from bureau credits, can come from alternative credit scoring, yeah. And small business financing, microfinancing is important for Indonesia. Yeah. And if you talk about total credit in Indonesia is about 35% of GDP. Yeah. And then small financing, microfinancing is now we can say that the major player is maybe only one bank, two banks. That's not enough for Indonesia. That's not enough. Yeah. If this country want to say many banks can have 30% of their portfolio in small business, micro business lending, this bank need data. This bank needs information so that they are lending, making loans, not that, and then not becoming NPL. Yeah. So credit infrastructure, information infrastructure is important. Yeah. That's why I attend this seminar, Pak Oge attend this seminar, Pak Swa attend this seminar. So to send the message that collaborations, yeah, to build a better and a better informations about credits. That's the way to move forward for Indonesia to grow the MSME. Yeah. Because, yeah, we have corporate credits, yeah, we have consumers credits, and we have small business and micro, and the governments want to grow this segment. But how to grow in prudent way? How to grow in a prudent manner? Yeah. At this current system, we have a credit guarantee. Yeah, we have a credit guarantee. How to grow the credit guarantee in a prudent manner? To avoid the NPL, to avoid, yeah, the bad credits. So informations. So I think that's my main message. Again, thank you for friends, everybody that's come from other country to visit Bali again. Yeah, thank you very much, and please come to Bali again and again. But in Indonesia, it is not only Bali. Yeah, you fly maybe 30 minutes from here, you come to Lombok. Yeah, you fly maybe 45 minutes or 1 hour from here, you have Labuan Bajo. Yeah, so many beautiful areas in Indonesia. Yeah. So I think we have Pak Suahasil, the Vice Minister of Finance. He can talk a bit about macro numbers. Yeah. So last year our credits, bank credits grew around close to 12%. Yeah. The non-bank financing grew around 14%. Pak. Yeah. So in terms of restructure loans, at the beginning of a COVID crisis, restructure loans because of COVID was maybe 850 trillion rupiah. Now already went down to maybe around 400 trillions. In terms of gross NPL, now is around 2.4%. If you include the restructure COVIDs and so on, we call it loan at risk. Yeah, loan at risk before COVID crisis was around 10 to 11%. At the peak of COVID crisis, the loan at risk was maybe 25 to 27%, and now it's around 14%, 1/4. So almost the portfolio, yeah, I would say that almost back to the normal situation before COVID, yeah. But of course, we still. OJK still extend some relaxations. Yeah, we had relaxations about credit restructuring at the beginning of COVID crisis, and then it ended in March this year. But we extend some of it, especially for tourism areas like Bali, for small business and for industries that have a lot of employee, like garments and shoes. Yeah, but I would say that in terms of portfolio, yeah, the banking sectors already back to normal situations, yeah. But again, 35% to GDP for loans, yeah, in Indonesia, with almost 300 million people from Sabang to Merauke, 35% to GDP is not enough. We need to grow more loans in Indonesia, not only from banks, but also from non-banks. Not only from using conventional information, but also using digital information. Yeah, that's why we have this seminar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pak Mirza, for such an inspiring speech. Ladies and gentlemen, we are welcoming the visionary speech by Vice Minister of Finance of the Republic of Indonesia. Please welcome Bapak Suahasil Nazara.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yang saya hormati Pak Mirza Adityaswara, Wakil Ketua Otoritas Jasa Keuangan Republik Indonesia, Pak Ogi Prastomyono, Kepala Eksekutif IKNB, colleagues from OJK, and also all the participants of this seminar, those who are very active in the credit scoring system of Indonesia, and ladies and gentlemen. First of all, of course, I'm very happy to speak before you all at this international seminar on promoting the digital finance inclusion for MSME through the use of credit scoring. And it's even more, I'm even more grateful about this seminar because the subtitle of this seminar actually put in the word financial inclusion. You may want to think, we may want to sit back a little bit and then think about the question on the subtitle of this seminar. How can the credit scoring system, whether it's a public registry, whether it's a private credit bureau, whether it's an innovative credit scoring, can really contribute to the financial inclusion of this country. It is a big task, and I'm very happy that you already have 2 days of deliberations, and I'm really looking forward to answers of that particular question. How can we promote the financial inclusion through the credit scoring system? Ladies and gentlemen, when I look at the invitation to this international seminar for me to speak before you all, I look at the category of this speech, and it is actually called visionary speech. And I'm actually asked to myself, what is the visionary speech supposed to be? I know keynote speech. I mean, like a keynote speech, everyone talk about the keynote speech, but you are asked to deliver a keynote speech. And then my staff told me, "Pa, you are asked to give a visionary speech." So that actually put me on a break a little bit a couple of days ago when I have to think about to prepare this seminar. And then finally I decided that I'm not going to talk about the credit system, because that is exactly what you are already been talking for the 2 days. At the risk, not at the risk. Let me tell you one secret then. I actually went to the Google and then asked the Google. I didn't ask the Chat GPT. I asked the Google. I asked the Google how to become visionary. And then one of the answer that I get from Google is that try to relate disconnected items. So that's what I want going to do this morning. I want to tell you one of the items that you may want to think about, and then get you out a little bit from the credit scoring system, which you are going to talk about in 2 days. What I'm going to tell you about this morning, ladies and gentlemen, let me bring you to the situation that we have been encountered in the last 3 years. COVID-19, correct. Imagine 2021. Nobody is willing to sit next to the other like this. We are able to get out of that situation. The economy in 2020 was in contraction. We do our best to protect the people, to protect all of us, and we were able to do so. And in Indonesian context, we even are able to claim that the way we handle the COVID and the way we handle the corresponding economic activities are in such a balance that allows COVID to be handled properly and economic activity and recovery can take place in a strong manner. Now, we were so tied up to the very small or to the very short-term responses. I can tell you that we are looking forward for what's going to happen next week, what's going to happen next month. In the cabinet meetings, every week, our president lead a cabinet meeting to have a weekly report, every Mondays, to get the report about the health situation especially. Because the president had a meeting every Mondays, Menko has a meeting every Sundays. In order for all of us to be able to report properly to the Menko every Sundays, we must have a meeting every Fridays. That's the short-term kind of activities that we do in order to protect the people. And this is if I told you meetings every Sundays, there is a meeting with the whole Indonesia. In lots of meetings, Sundays meetings, we invited governors, we invited Bupati, Wali Kota to appear and then to ask the situation in respective areas. Now, why I'm telling you this? I would like to tell you that how short-term our mindset was. How short-term. When we were in the pandemic situation, we were very short-term. Now, however, in the case of Indonesia, we are also blessed with country leaders that are not only short-term in thinking. We are blessed because even during the pandemic situation, we are still thinking about what should happen in the medium term and long terms Indonesia. And how do we put that on the public eye? How do we put that in the to show that we are very well medium term and long term perspectives? Ladies and gentlemen, end of 2020, November 2020, we issued the Undang-Undang Cipta Kerja. And that means the deliberations of that particular law was conducted with your mask on in the middle of the pandemic. And the Undang-Undang Cipta Kerja is meant to change the fundamental of how Indonesia works. And the first fundamental change on how Indonesia works should start with the changes in how the bureaucracy works. And that is Undang-Undang Cipta Kerja. Because Undang-Undang Cipta Kerja eventually is to recruit more employment, but by way of streamlining regulations, by way of streamlining licenses, by way of streamlining the way how bureaucracy works so that the business sector can groom and employment can be created. That's the logic, even though it's in the middle of the pandemic. Not only that, 2021, we remember that January we get the first shot of the vaccine. 2021, you probably saw the videos that was viral, how the President Jokowi was shot and the hand was a little bit gemetar waktu itu. And then January, that was the first vaccine shot. June was the Delta variant, very, very high pressures on our health system. Nevertheless, October 2021, we issued the new tax law. The new tax law was actually issued in October. That really means the deliberations of the new tax law was also discussed with your mask on. We never cease to think about the medium and long-term perspective of this country. Several other laws that are continued to be in the discussion, and the last law that may be of some, or maybe of big relevance to all of you who are in this room, is the financial sector law, which also was issued early this year, but essentially was discussed for a number of months last year. We are a little bit already, the COVID a little bit already eased, but then the discussion, the deliberations are still during the COVID period. So the main point is that we never, if you would like to put the perspective on Indonesia, we continue the deliberations even though during the pandemic. And the deliberations is to look at the Indonesia in the medium and long-term perspectives. What do we see on the economic growth and other indicators? Let me, you know the economic growth of Indonesia. Last year, we grew 5.3%. This year, we expect it will be between 5.0 to 5.3% economic growth. And that is, we believe that the financial sector is at the core for the intermediation and other activities allowing this economic growth to materialize in 2023. And of course, we do have to think about how should we get new sources of growth of Indonesia. We have to think about are we going back to the previous times, and then look at the slide already on. This is what I would like to mention. Or should we think about new avenues? And what are the new avenues that we have to go through that we think is going to be very important for the new growth of Indonesia, the new source of growth of Indonesia? Let me take you to one of these one by one. Number one, we believe that Indonesia is rich in natural resources, and we believe that those natural resources should be processed further in Indonesia. That is going to be a source of economic growth. Now, what you may read in the media is that the export ban. Larang ekspor ini, larang ekspor itu, larang ekspor ini, larang ekspor itu. Larang ekspor, or export ban, is a tool. It's not an objective. What is really the objective? The objective is downstreaming higher value added of our natural resources. We believe that is a new source of economic growth of Indonesia, not only for the short term, but for the medium and long term. Let's do that. Okay. Now, a lot to be done on the mineral sector, even on the kelapa sawit, on the CPO. Let's downstream the CPO down further and create the industry in Indonesia, and create the employment in Indonesia, and create the value added in Indonesia. That's the point. I can talk more about this further, but let's go to the second one. the use of local product. That is going to be a very fundamental new source of growth. Because the use of the local product is really going to be, it's going to happen at the level of the mindset level. Let's use the local product. Let's create more and more local product. Because that is a source of business, that is a source of employment, that is a source of value added and growth. Now I really would like to see the connection between downstreaming and the local product. The more and more natural resource can be downstream, and it is local product content that's going to create the multiplier that is even higher. Not to come to the level of protectionism. Where is the level? But the use of local product is very important. And we have been very vigilant. We have been very stringent with the how state budget use local product. This is one way, this is one area where we would like to see more and more local product is used. The e-catalog of the government procurement, the many different things, and we are actually mapping our budget, how much actually use local product, how much is used to buy local product, and how much is used for other things. Now, and the budget is huge. But of course, the use of local products should go to the level of the mindset of the whole economy, but not to come to the level of protectionism in a negative sense. This is something that we have to find. We have to strike the right kind of frame. Number 3, acceleration of the digital economy. This is the way. And we believe that moving to the digital is actually a source of new source of economic growth. This is not to say that other conventional economy is to be abandoned. That is not to say that. But this is to say that how can we embrace the digital economy to provide efficiency, to provide easier transactions, and to provide opportunity for higher value added. And we have seen a lot of private sector initiatives on that. We would like to encourage more, and of course, I forget to mention, whenever we talk about the local product, whenever we talk about the digital economy, I think it's very easy to connect with what the credit scoring system is to do. But the credit scoring system is not only for the sake of credit scoring system, it is for the efficiency of the economy and for the economy to grow. The subtitle of this seminar even say it's for the inclusion, which is very good. Number 4 is something that is really new. We also believe that the green economy and energy transition is the new source of economic growth. It's inevitable that we go green, but despite of the inevitability, we have to think about how to make the green economy to become our new source of economic growth. That's why in the recent years, even during the G20, Indonesia presidency, whenever Indonesia is part of the COP26, COP27, we promote a lot about the energy transition. OJK is in intense deliberations with ASEAN member country counterparts to talk about the taxonomy of the green taxonomy. We talk about the transition economies. We are not talking about the green, we are talking about the transition toward the green. Why do we talk about transition? For one thing, Indonesia, we rely a lot on the coal power plant. It is our intention to reduce the proportion of our coal power plant in our electricity generation. But we have to do that in a transitional way. We have to do that in a gradual way. We are willing to shut down some of our coal power plant, but we have to make sure that the electricity for the people continue to be available. We are in the middle of electricity surplus for certain parts of Indonesia, but we are still in an electricity deficit in some other parts of Indonesia. We have a lot of coals. We have to use it in the responsible manner, but we also would like to go to the green electricity generation. So that is why transition is very important. Not only the objective, but transition is also very important. And that is why we talk about the transition of energy. This is a new source of economic growth. We have a lot of alternative energy powers. We have to make sure that it is used so that it can add value added, it can serve the people, and it can achieve the green objective. And all of that, ladies and gentlemen, whether it's increasing the value added through the downstreaming, increasing the use of the local product, digital economy, transition economy toward the green, we would like to have our medium, small, and micro enterprises to be part of them. And if the credit system, the credit assessment is one part of how to allow that visible, let's do it. But as I mentioned earlier, credit system is not only for the credit rating is not only for the credit rating. Credit rating is for the growth, for the welfare of the people. This session, the topic is by way of the financial inclusion. I welcome that very well. But then the economy that we are serving, the economy that we know going to create the welfare of the people, in our view, is parts of these 5 items on the left. So how to create a credit rating that allow more and more micro, small, and medium enterprises of Indonesia to be able to go and embrace the new source of economic growth. That is really my points that I would like to deliver to you, so that you can put the deliberations, which I know I'm very thankful this morning I got Pak Cyril and Pak Kevin to talk to me during the breakfast, describing to me a whole lot of ideas, I believe, on the credit system, the credit scoring system. And I would like to put that under this frame. I wish you all fruitful discussions on the credit scoring system. I appreciate OJK conduct this international seminar. Let's grow together. New source of economic growth of Indonesia are awaiting for us, and I believe, as Pak Mirza mentioned earlier, credit growth is one of the key point, and we would like more and more Indonesian people to get involved in the economy by way to get the credit, to access to credit from the financial institution. Thank you very much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Excuse me, Pak Suahasil. We would be honored if you could stay on stage to take a group photo with our VIP guests, moderators, and speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, we will have two group photo, first with the VIP guests and the second one with all speakers and moderators. As such, I would like to invite all the VIP guests to join Pak Suahasil on stage to take the first group photo. Bapak Mirza Adityaswara, Bapak Bambang Budiawan, Ibu Kristianti Pujirahayu, Bapak Triyono, Bapak Ogi Prastomiono, Bapak Rendra Idris, Head of Regional Offices, mohon berkenan Bapak pimpinan kepala regional dan kepala kantor regional dan kepala kantor OJK daerah, Bapak Cyril Nurhadi, Bapak Adrian Gunadi, Bapak Marshal Pribadi, Bapak Firly Ganinduto, Mr. Kevin Law, and Mr. Neil Munro. We kindly request you to join us to the stage and take the first session of group photo. Okay. Okay, maybe try another pose, ladies and gentlemen, and give us your sweetest smile. On 3, 2, 1. And for the VIP guests, please stay on stage as we also kindly invite all speakers and moderators to come up to the stage and take the second group photo. To all speakers and moderators from both day 1 and day 2 of the seminar sessions, we kindly request you to join us to the stage and take the second group photo. All right, on 3, 2, 1. Okay, first is the formal photo. Okay, maybe we can try another pose. Oh, okay. Okay, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause to all of our VIP guests, speakers, and moderators. You may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to also inform you that Bapak Mirza, Bapak Suahasil, and Bapak Ogi will unfortunately be leaving the venue early due to another important agenda. We thank you, Pak Mirza, Pak Suahasil, Pak Ogi, for gracing us with your presence and sharing your insights with us. You may now take your leave. Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for any inconvenience this may cause and appreciate your understanding as we are still setting the stage for our panel discussion. Thank you, Pak Mirza, Pak Suahasil, and Pak Ogi for your time and insightful sessions. Okay, Pak Mirza will still be with us and participate in the seminar session. What a great pleasure. Thank you very much, Pak Mirza, for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, we will have 2 seminar sessions, 2 panel discussions today in the topic of Indonesia credit reporting landscape and its role to support access to finance and risk mitigation. And the second topic would be about Indonesia credit reporting landscape input and expectation from the industry. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we will now proceed to the panel discussion with the topic of Indonesia credit reporting landscape and its role to support access to finance and risk mitigation. This session will be moderated by Head of Research and Development of PT Pevindo Biro Kredit, Bapak Lucky Herviana. Bapak Lucky has over 17 years of experience in the financial industry. At Pevindo Biro Kredit, Pak Lucky leads the organization in researching new products, product enhancement, and product redesign, as well as building partnership with big data companies. He is responsible for the overall evaluation of the potential and practicality of products in development. His expertise in driving top-line growth, profit improvements, and digital transformation. He has led these functions for some of Indonesia's leading foreign banks. Additionally, he has led marketing and helped building unsecured lending products for a digital bank. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's welcome Bapak Lucky Herviana.
Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Salam, Om Swastiastu, nama budaya, dan salam kebajikan. And good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for coming again to this session. This is the second day of our seminars that we're going to talk about digital financial inclusions, and of course, we also want to have more detailed information about the current situation of the credit bureau in industry as well, and how the credit scoring happens in Indonesia as well. So, first of all, I would like to welcome our distinguished guests. So there's Pak Suahasil Nazara, Vice Minister of Finance, he just left. We have Pak Mirza Adityaswara, Vice Chairman of OJK. And we have Pak Bambang Webudiawan, OJK Deputy Commissioners of Financing Institutions and Other Financial Services. Ibu Kristianti Puji Rahayu, Head of Regional Office of 8 OJK. Pak Triyono, OJK Department Head of Others Financial Institutions Supervisor, and Pak Cyril Nurhadi, Independent Supervisory Board Member of INA and Chairman of Creditor Indonesia, Pak Marsal Pribadi, Vice Chairman of 4 AFTEC, Pak Adrian Gunadi, Chairman of IFPI, and Mr. Kevin Law, Senior Managing Director of Creador, and other distinguished guests that I cannot name one by one. And again, our panelists and of course, all the participants who join us today from both online and offline, thank you very much and to support the development of digital finance in Indonesia. And again, I also thank OJK to have me as the moderator as today for the panel session. So we're gonna start we have quite a number of panelists today. So I'm gonna call each of the panelists to come to the stage. So first of all, I would like to invite Mr. Johannes Artsabimanyu. Okay, Mr. Johannes Artsabimanyu, having the vast knowledge and experience for more than 26 years in the finance industries, including stock market, credit rating agency, credit bureau, and has successfully led the credit bureau to become the key player for the development of access to finance, and it's bring exponential growth of Pevindo Biro Kredit since the first inception in Indonesia. And I think he also has learning new skills, which is how to play golf. So just make some golf course. So we have a lot in Bali, so maybe you can take Abi as well. Okay, the next panel we can call Pak Peter Sugia Pranata. Okay, Pak Peter Sugia Pranata is an enthusiast in analytics and IT industry, and since 2019 has joined Tongdun Technology Indonesia as the country director. And Peter felt challenged to step up the game in helping to improve the financial inclusion to wider Indonesia population by leveraging the notified credit scoring. So he will be representing from the credit scoring, and Pak Abi will be representing from the Credit Bureau. And he and ICS working group has successfully developed ICS white paper and code of conduct to shape the ICS existence and self-regulate the ICS industry. And you know what? Pak Peter is an antique and old cars enthusiast. If you have, old cars, antique cars, you may speak with the Pak Peter. So, yeah. And I have another panel, which is Mr. Thomas. So, Mr. Thomas brings over 20 years of experience in banking, insurance, and consumer lending. And now sees a senior leadership and consulting roles, and now is a risk management advisor for BFI Finance Indonesia, with a previous role as the CRO in various financial institutions in Vietnam, China, and Kazakhstan. And when I spoke with Pak Thomas, he loves very much, and the hobby is quantitative trading. It's quite a hobby, basically. It's like trading becomes one of the hobby for Pak Thomas, right? Okay, then we have number 4, the panelist, Pak Vishal Tulsian. So Pak Vishal Tulsian is founded Indonesia's first and only fully regulated digital lending startup, Tunaiku, in 2014. And he's also the president director of the Amar Bank. And he successfully scaled up and digitally transformed the traditional banking environment to achieve 25 times growth in 5 years. So what an achievement. And recently, he also led the bank to launch the first digital bank on cloud in Indonesia, named Senyumku, powered by the artificial intelligence to help people to build their financial wellness. And again, the hobby is to gym, and he reads a lot of books in a year. So I just talked to him, he will read more than 60 books in a year. So a lot of knowledge. Hopefully, I can bring something to the floor. And next, we also have Pak Adrian Gunadi. So Pak Adrian Gunadi brings 18 years of banking experiences in retail and commercials for both conventional and also Sharia banking. He is a co-founder and CEO of Investry, the leading SME lending marketplace since 2015, the chairman of AFPI, building access for finance, MSME, by promoting the collaboration of various ecosystem in Indonesia, Thailand, and the Philippines, and now is in the process to build digital bank for MSME together with Bang Amar. And he has a very, also almost the same as the next Pak Vishal is to gym, but Pak Adrian loves to marathon, triathlon, and also an Ironman athlete. So quite a hobby, basically. So lastly, I have panelists welcoming to the stage is Pak Igede Arya Purusadana. So Pak Igede Arya Purusadana, we name it Pak Arya, having a 20 years experiences in IT related activities, and now he led the digitalization of BPD Bali and helping all the BOD towards the digital transformation as the head of IT division PT Bank BPD Bali. And he has also same almost three of representative from the lenders of the business or from the industry. He has almost the same hobby is cycling and marathon. It's like gym, running, marathon, Ironmans, everything's over there. So I think the industry will very focused on self-development and self-help, I think. Yeah. And again, today we have 6 panelists. So it's come from different industries. So this section, I think Pak Abi and also Pak Peter is coming from the Credit Bureau and the ICS. And then we have 4 coming from the industry, from the lenders, from BFI, from Abang Amar, and also representative from Investry, and also from BPD Bali. So we're gonna talk a little bit more about the way that the synergy. So the name is for this panel is actually the synergy of public registry, private credit bureau, and credit scoring in development, and of course, obviously, how the use of the credit scoring in for the lenders specifically. Maybe I will go directly to question and answer. So basically, for today, we're gonna have break down into 4 agenda. There will be question and answer. The first will be by us, by the moderators, and we're gonna put some maybe questions coming from the floor, and we're gonna wrap up. There will be some closing remarks from each of the panelists, and again we're gonna close the panel discussion at around 1 hour to 15 minutes. So from now. So then the first questions, I think I will request to again to Pa Abi for the questions, because I think we know that the development of the credit scoring and also the credit bureau itself, LPIP name in Indonesia, Lembaga Pengelola Informasi Perkreditan. So maybe you can tell a little bit to the floor. So how's the sector developed since the first inception in Indonesia, and then also is it the business are very potential in a way? So maybe Babi, you can share something on the development now.
Okay, Lucky, thank you. So if we go back to maybe in a few years in 2013, I think this is a very good initiative from the Central Bank of Indonesia, that Indonesia adopted the dual credit reporting systems that allow the private could manage and also collect the credit data and also the other data. I think the vision is that Indonesia would like to have more disseminate of credit information. So the Central Bank of Indonesia didn't want to work alone, but they invite all the private sectors to disseminate the credit information, to penetrate the credit, and also to increase the risk mitigation in the financial institutions. So at that time, of course, we faced several challenges. As you know that in the society is familiar with BI checking, Pak Mirza. BI checking is very familiar in society until now. So that's, I think, a good marketing from BI, that how can the BI checking could be in our mindset in Indonesia society. And that's what a credit bureau would like to do in the future. How that in the society, the name of the credit bureau could be in our mind of our society. So, like I say that, if someone will go to apply the loan, I would like to check our credit bureau score. Or if someone to go to rent an apartment, rent a car, I would like to check my credit bureau score first. So that's what is our vision, how that credit bureau Indonesia could be a player in the credit industry and society also. So of course, over the years that we have challenged that how to make awareness, how to make education to the financial institution, what is the benefit of the credit bureau, what's the benefit of the credit bureau. And over the years also, we're doing very hard work to do that. And after 5 years since our operational in 2017, for now we have a very good progress. What I'm thinking that since that we have growth with 91% over about how about the inquiry of the request of the report from the credit bureau. And also we have a growth in about our members now over there 40%, that all the financial institutions become users or members of the credit bureau. I think that this is a very significant progress how the credit bureau industry works in Indonesia. So this is not only B2B services or product that we can serve to the industry, but also we can serve with the population. As you know that there's more than 150 million adult population in Indonesia, and we have more than 100 million database of the credit data. It means that in 100 people of credit data who has the credit data, there's many loan that can be served to the people, and the rest is for the 60 millions or 70 millions of the unbankable people, underserved people, that can be served through the credit bureau. And The other thing is that the financial institution in Indonesia so many huge. As we know that there are so many 100 banks, 1,600 rural banks, 102 fintechs peer-to-peer lending, more than 160 multi-finance company. All of the companies of the financial institution still needs the service of the credit bureau. How to mitigate the risk, how to increase the awareness about the credit disbursement. So I think that there is more opportunity in the future, how the credit bureau works in Indonesia, of course, together with all the society. That's what I think.
Okay, thank you, Bobby. So I quote that the growth is very significant. So 91% in terms of the revenue and members of 44%. So I think that's a very huge potential business for Credit Bureau. On top of that, it's actually helping for the digital inclusion as well, right? So I think we have also like representative from all the bureaus as well here, right? So I think again, we say that the Bureau business is very potential for Indonesia. And I'll move on to Pa Peter, because Pa Peter is represented from the innovative credit scoring. Because now we talked a lot about alternative data. And then next to that is actually how the alternative data can, reduce the, how to increase, sorry, not reduce, but increase the financial inclusion, because there'll be some parts that we can create something like alternative credit scoring. It can help again for the the society to get an access to finance. So maybe you can give a little bit highlight on the development of the ICS in Indonesia, and then how's there will be some collaboration with other parties, other like credit bureau as well. So maybe you can give a little bit highlight into that, Pa Peter.
Thank you, Pak Luki. So I think the innovative credit scoring is at the moment like a toddler. We are only starting about 2019 when the regulatory sandbox started. So compared to Credit Bureau, who is much more mature, but we are here in a lot of learning process. The learning curve is tremendous. So I think from what we have done so far, we have started mostly from the fintechs at the start, at the beginning. But over time, we have been serving many clients. I mean, I'm not talking only for myself, but for the whole group of the innovative credit scoring. So for my own experience, we've been working with the banks, the largest PPDs, the Usaha Gadai, the pawn shop, with PPRs, PPDs, fintech. So they all actually can use our services, right? So I think it has been tested over several years. And during the pandemic itself, actually, it was quite an effective pandemic, actually, because we had time to think. We were just stopping ourselves. We were working together. So I'm representing the working group, which we have made a white paper of how we should shape the innovative credit scoring to help the financial inclusion for Indonesia. So from there, we also made the code of conduct to help also to lay some of the initial legal or ethics of how we operate to make confidence to the market, right? So I think it has been last time handed over to OJK as our input. I think it has been very positive of how we've been working through the pandemic. We were growing. We all were growing. We had our things that we self-regulate with the help from AFTEC, with the help from World Bank. I would like also to say thank you to World Bank, to OJK, BI, Kominfo, Dukcapil, who was helping us to create that white paper, including Pak Abi here, last time from LPIP, also giving inputs to us. So I think all of us here as stakeholders who is helping the innovative credit scoring to grow. And from there on, I think the result is we see the take-up of the usage. We see the tested result of how we've been helping. I think it has been from the start. There are few recommendations that from the white paper, which actually is helping us here. There's also some requests that we asked to the regulators also in that white paper. Yeah, there is the management of the data, the technology, as well as the partnership. So I think when we say synergy here, right, I think there's a partnership part which is very important. I think first as the technology, we are very open in using our technology. We are innovative. So we suggest last time that let's not do too strict on technology, but give the more flexibility to the innovative credit scoring to use the technology. We use AI, ML, all the methods that we use. But let the market and the result give the feedback. How good is it? Okay. On the data side, I think one of the recommendations was the data protection. And I think that has been answered by the government by introducing the PDP law. So I think one of the items that was suggested, the government has already accomplished. So that's a very good underlying law for us to be working with confidence how the data exchange are being done. Again, on data, I think there's a few things that is probably need to be some guidelines from the regulator so that the data providers, the data controllers can actually be more confident in working together with us. So the PDP is there, but we need more guidelines because the PDP, if they read it literally, sometimes it's too strict or they are paranoid to the PDP. So I think some guidelines to be given that for the financial inclusion objective, some ways of collaboration, some ways of exchanging the sensitive data needs to be some guidelines around it. So the framework need to be there. The third, the partnership. I think we have been talking in the LPIP, like Abi here. I think there are things that the synergy between the PCR, PCB, and the ICS. Again, the framework and the guidelines is required so we can work together. Because now, sometimes, which part can you work on, right? There's some confusion. We don't want to make wrong steps, right? We don't want to be seen as we are not following the guidelines. But first of all, we need the guidelines at the first moment so that we can really work within the corridor that the regulators are giving, and while we are able to give value add to the society by helping the financial inclusion. Because at the moment, LPIP has most data of the bankable. Some data on the underbanked, right? But no data on the unbanked probably, right? But we are trying to help here to fill the underbanked and unbanked. So if we can work together, it will give the full picture of the Indonesian society. Because what we do here is we do scoring, we do help financial inclusion for the whole Indonesian society. So I think it shouldn't be like, which is their part, this is my part. No, we should be really working together, and with some blessing and guidelines from the regulator, it will be really helpful. So I think that's probably how I would like to.
Okay, thank you, Pak Peter. So I quote that the support are tremendous. I think everyone, like most from the regulators and also from the synergy from both from the companies and LPAP also like support the ICS development. But again, you need a guidance again from the regulators, right? Okay, maybe that will be some point that we need to have again support for guidance, and from the regulators are very needed in this case. So I'm gonna move on to the industry players again because there's a lot of panelists here. So apologies to wait for sometimes. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about because this talks about the credit scoring. But before that, so actually we talk about credit data. We talk about alternative credit data, sorry. So then, how do you see, I mean, like from the players, from the BFI Finance, I'm going to talk with Pak Thomas first, I think I'm going to move on to the next panelist. So Pak Thomas, do you see how the credit data and alternative data, it's supporting, you know, the development of credit scoring for instance, for BFI Finance Indonesia? So is it something that you already implemented, or it is something that you're still exploring? And another questions, I'm going to be having two questions directly. You can directly, how the, like there's two gentlemen here is actually coming from the Bureau and also from the ICS. Is it, the collaboration is already working with the BFI Finance Indonesia? So please, Pak Thomas.
Okay, thank you for the question. I'm not in Indonesia that long, so just 1 year. So probably not good to ask me about the history. But I can tell you about how is it now, and as well I can compare a little bit to other countries I have chance to be before Indonesian market. The credit data and the credit bureaus in Indonesia, I think they are in very good stage and very nicely developing. I can see it in 2022, the penetration of the customers inside of credit bureaus growing, and every lender such as BFI can find tremendous value of information in them. And I'm talking about both, about credit data, those traditional ones, let's say, and as well those alternatives ones, either coming from vendors selling these alternative data or scores, or other data we are collecting from other sources. I think to your question, it cannot be generally answered because every lender facing different challenges in the risk management. Let's say lenders who are providing small loans online, they mainly facing fraud risk. So they are using the data mainly for identifying the fraud potential of the customer, while companies like BFI, which we are doing mainly collateral-based big amount loans, we are facing more credit risk side issues and collection issues, and as well evaluation of the collateral itself. So we are using both. These data are perfectly complementing each other. We are using credit bureau data for mainly credit decisions, means about clients' history, about some demography and location and other information. But we are as well building our own methodologies and scores from alternative data about the client movements, about the client changes of his jobs, changes and usage of his collaterals and others. So it cannot be said that one data are above others. It cannot be said one data can be used only. It must be well done combination of both alternative and traditional data. And I think this is the core part of the solid risk management. And comparing to other countries, I think there is like tremendous data available in Indonesia. So it's not a final process. It is never-ending opportunistic collaboration with all vendors providing these data and developing new models and testing new approaches how to use this data in risk decisions.
Okay, great. Thank you, Pak Thomas. So I quote the very, best quotes like never-ending collaboration. I think that's a key, right? So players and LPAP or credit bureau and also ICS working together. Not only like within the industry as well, right? There's always like collaborations are needed. Okay, thank you, Pak Thomas. And I'm gonna switch to Pak Vishal because I know from your bios, actually you've been working like providing lending in since 2014, which is to Naiku, and then moving to Amar Bank. So there's a lot of challenges back in the days, right? And then the questions remain. How you leverage the credit data and alternative data? Are you also creating a credit scoring specifically for both underserved and served customers on how how's the credit bureau and also ICLs help you on your path to grow the business?
Thanks, Lucky. So yes, it started in June 2014, so a lot of history there. We started at the time it was BI SID. We've seen the transition from SID to OJK, SLIC, and now the credit bureaus and PCRs. It's a great seminar for us because this seminar addresses financial inclusion. And our target market has been financially underserved from the very beginning. And until now, we have, from micro SME, we have served more than 500,000 customers and disbursed more than 7 trillion rupiah. So we've done quite a lot of work in this segment, which is underserved, and mainly because of alternate data and also the credit history. So to give you an example, at that time, there were no alternate data. We just had SID data and later on SLIC data. But there were customers who did not have any sort of digital footprint. So we got innovative. We created our own alternate data. So for an example, when somebody is on the form, we would take the data if they have done copy-paste. That's an alternate data. Copy-pasting of their mother's name is a red flag, for an example. Copy-pasting their KTP number is like an orange flag. Why is somebody copy-pasting? Then the number of backspaces somebody will use. If they are using a lot of backspaces, the person is not sure, that's an alternate data. Time taken to fill up the form. So these are the sorts of alternate data which we had to make use of if somebody did not have the credit history. So that's how we have used a lot. We see as the data got with the PCBs and ICS, the advantage which it gives is that the data got a bit more structured. And for example, for Pafindo, we have been dealing with Pafindo already from long time. They have other data like BPJS data. So with Slick, I would get only the credit history, but the BPJS data, that helps. So we had done a lot of jobs, mini PCBs and also mini ICS. So we have our own scoring model and all. So with ICS and all, we have used it right now, I would say, as a additional scoring point. That's one thing which I would definitely highlight, that as a lender, we are responsible for the NPL to OJK. So if I use an ICS score and lend, then responsibility doesn't get passed on to ICS. So very difficult to solely use an ICS score. As a lender, as you get larger, you have to build your own scoring models. So you are answerable and you understand what are the features used in those models. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Vishal. So again, alternative and credit data are become more important from our bank, right? Because there'll be some part of they can use the credit data and alternative data if the person is not having that information. So again, thank you very much for the explanation. And I'm moving to Pa Adrian. So yeah, again, based on your bio, you try to build another set of MSMEs bank. So the level of headache, again, for not having a data for individual data is this. Like MSMEs is like way more than, it's very challenging in the way. So, I mean, like the question still remains, so how you see, the digital bank, like focusing on MSMEs, and then how's the data is stored? Like credit data, alternative data is there, but again, there's a lot of data, and how you try to, to mitigate basically the business for the credit.
Right, so maybe I go back to about 7 years ago when I started Investri. The vision was always, how do we address the unmet credit demand of micro, small, medium enterprises? So from day one, we focus on MSME. And in my almost 18 years in banking, I realized that the challenge of MSME banking in Indonesia, there's a few complexities. Number one is definitely the lack of data or information of the MSME themselves. Number two is obviously the geographic spread. And number three is how do we determine the business cycles of the SME? So volatility of the business is really challenging. But then when we started, we actually focused on one specific, unique, I would say, product or financing means for the SME. And it was actually supply chain financing. So the concept of supply chain financing, you have invoices, you have purchase orders, which we at that time saw as a way to address the working capital needs of MSME. So I think we targeted a certain segment. If we try to do everything with all the complexities of the MSME data in Indonesia, it's impossible. And definitely we cannot manage or mitigate the risk. But through supply chain financing, you have a product where it's self-liquidating, you have certainty of payment from strong, credible principles. So that's how we started. But at that time, as a fintech lending, which there was no regulation, 2015, we had no access to Slick. Until now, we still have no access to Slick. Then from day one, we have to build our own data. And as a tech company and a startup, we have to be creative. So what we did was, day one, we tested out an invoice financing where a vendor of Unilever uploaded their invoices. What we did was, we did manual verification. So we actually called the Unilever procurement. We sent the email and we got the confirmation, okay, this is valid. Unilever will pay 30 days, okay. We give you a term of payment, advance the invoices, 80%. That was how we credit scored day one. So we did not have any additional information with regards to the borrower. Yes, we have financial data, but we don't know how legitimate that financial data is because it's not verified. But then we realized this is not scalable. And so the next step is, where is the source of data for these MSMEs? And back in 2016, we started with what we call the e-procurement, electronic procurement, which is being used actually by major principals. You go to any Unilever, you go to Pertamina, you go to Antam, everyone is now using e-procurement. Telkom is using e-procurement. So 2016, we did an integration with the e-procurement of actually the government of Indonesia. We do an integration with e-catalog, and I believe that was also highlighted by the Vice Minister, Pak Sua, and we validated that model. So what we did is, what we realized, in order for us to have access to the data, we have to go straight to the ecosystem, where the data of a SME is. So we started with the e-procurement, of which we rolled out into several state-owned enterprises. So we do BUMN, we do multinational, Shell, Unilever, and now we're also doing the government, the e-catalog, which there you have visibility of the SME. We know information now, how long has this SME been serving to the government, what goods are they servicing, and you have one validity, which in e-procurement of the government is called sepakat. Once there is that sepakat, you know that that's good credit. So from there we enhance the data, we analyze the profile, the behavior, because MSME credit, it's just not about the financial, but you also have to understand the behavior of the SME, and it has to be real time. I don't think that information can be fully captured in a public registry data or a traditional credit score, and that's why we then develop our own alternative credit scoring model to capture the behavior of the supply chain MSME through the e-procurement, and then through also cloud accounting. So in the end, the way we address the lack of data for MSME credit scoring is we work with multiple ecosystems. So number one, e-procurement. Number two, cloud accounting. We also have the digital agri-tech players. So now we're doing agri-financing based on the agri-tech, and also logistic tech. So it goes back also to what Pak Sua mentioned in terms of the rise of the digital economy. Actually, the MSMEs now become more visible in terms of the digital footprint. So I think that is a very important transition to how SME banking or SME credit was done 10 years ago. So that is where then Investry, myself, we said, okay, why not we also provide this alternative to other lenders? And so frankly, we also developed our own alternative credit scoring, which then we are now providing our 7-year learnings to other banks also, sharing the information. Because I think, obviously, we cannot do it on our own. MSME, 65 million potential, contributes about, I believe, 60 or 70% of Indonesia's potential GDP. Definitely, we cannot do it alone, and I think that's where the collaboration angle is very important amongst fintech, or I would say tech-enabled financial services. And then you have the banks, you have the multi-finance, and also the bureau, credit bureau, I would say ecosystem, which consists of public, which consists of private, and the alternative credit. One point to note is that's also why, as the industry, we also develop our own fintech data center, which I believe is I would say, under optimized, because the data that we have is not being captured by any of the other bureaus at this point in time. It's not fully captured by the LPIP. So what I see is there's still a lot of islands in Indonesia when it comes to credit information. We develop our own, you have others, the public, you have alternatives. So I think maybe we need to also design a clear roadmap on how we can then have a better visibility on every aspect. And I think going back to the theme, MSME, because I think that is where we can develop and enhance the growth, as per Pak Suha mentioned. That becomes the biggest challenge, actually, and I think that's what we're trying to solve. But definitely we have some learnings that we can each share, but I think there needs to be a specific roadmap on how we can each share and each learn, and then that infrastructure is the key to how to address or get a more comprehensive credit scoring environment, which would then help the banks, help the multi-finance, help the fintech. So it is a means for us to provide more access to finance for the MSME.
Great, thank you very much, Pak Adrian. So I think like the code is actually to break the issues where the data is not there, is actually you need to collaborate. That's the first one. And the second one is like, you need to have a roadmap. I think also the framework, maybe framework on the data infrastructures and credit scoring to help access to finance for specifically for MSMEs now, because I think everyone's working by their own, and then now, but I mean, towards the these years, actually, there's a lot of initiative coming from the government as well, and also from the industry players to tap on the MSMEs market. So I think it's a very good insight, and then again, this is still a working in progress. So hopefully we can, again, to increase our MSMEs access to finance. And moving on, I have Pa Arya here. Pa Arya is the president from BPD Bali. So I heard that BPD Bali just launched the DigiLoan in 2021, if I'm mistaken. So can you also like give us some updates on the DigiLoans works, and then do you use the alternative credit data for your decision making? Please, Pa Arya.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Luki. I'm from Regional Development Bank of Bali, also known as Bank BPD Bali. It's owned by regional government from province or regencies and cities in Bali. Our credit portfolio right now is 50% from MSME and growth year by year. And in line with our vision and mission is to serve MSMEs and to support and contribute in regional development in Bali. So in 2021, we developed a DigiLoan. We would to digitalize and automate the credit processing to become more effective and efficient. We perform the ID verification, ID authentication, and then know your customer principle and anti-money laundering principle at the pre-screening process and at the credit scoring system. We use the data from credit bureau, and we use data from central bank, national blacklist. We use data from Dukcapil and from the governments. But however, we have more challenge. When we face the MSMEs with insufficient data, insufficient financial transaction history, insufficient credit information. That's a big challenge for us. And we need to collaborate with the data provider, can provide an alternative data, maybe from telco, from marketplace or e-commerce, and maybe from fintech. So our DigiLoan, especially at the pre-screening process and the credit scoring, will be more precise and more accurate to reduce risk and operational costs in Bank BPD Bali. So we wish to collaborate, to engage and involve with the ecosystem which can provide the data bank or unbanked people. So we wish our credit scoring system will be more updated and agile with the situation. And beside that, we have found a problem too, that sometimes the credit scoring parameter is need to adjustable, specific to area and or region. Because in Bali, one region and the other region have a different culture, have a different habits. For example, like willingness to pay. So we require an adjustable credit scoring parameter to agile, to adaptive with that situation and condition. So if we have intelligent credit scoring, we believe in the future we will be create a new business like cash loan or BNPL, BNO Pay Later, because we use prudential banking to execute that. So we need to prepare our credit scoring, become intelligent credit scoring. Okay, that's from us.
Okay, thank you, Arya. So I quote that intelligent credit scoring are needed, right? And I think because Pak Mirza was mentioning about, today is the day where because the presence of Pak Mirza, Pak Suahasil is actually to promote and then to collaboration to make it happen, because then support that all the players are also need to work in synergy and all collaborations. I think, thank you very much. And I welcome for the floors to have some questions, because I think we have a very limited time. Any question from the floor? Okay, Pak, please. May I raise your hands and say your name and sorry. So I have two. So quick questions from the floor. So maybe we'll take three first, and then after that, we're gonna see if the time is sufficient. So we'll try. Okay, please, Pak.
Thank you. My name is Sumar Jono from OJK. Yesterday I got information from speakers that credit bureau services could be used by other financial institution, not only bank. So hopefully this is right. Yeah. Now I would like to know how other financial institution, for example, insurance industry, can use credit bureau services. And is there any experience of your company that helping other than banks? So that's my questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pastor Barjono. I think the question will be to Pak Abi, right, from the Credit Bureau. I think Pak Abi, please So the questions will be on the credit bureau services. Is it can be used for other types of financial industry? So not only for banks, but any like for instance like insurance. So yeah.
Thank you, Pak Sumarjono. So yes, basically that our services, credit bureau services, is not only used by the banks. So the first one is that, like we say here, multi-finance company. They also use our services. But not only credit bureau services like credit bureau scoring, but they also using our service, other services like the decision engines. So it can help the financial institutions to make quick decision to disburse loan or not, to approve loan or reject loan. So that's the financial institution. Multi-finance, fintech peer-to-peer lending also in terms of digitalization, Pak. In terms of digitalization, they need the speeds. So they need the credit bureau scoring to make faster analysis. So it means that if you want, especially for consumers, if you want get quick decisions, you need the scores, analysis of scoring, and then you get the reason code why this person have this kind of scores. And then with those kind of analysis, the credit analyst or maybe the systems could provide the decision is this person could be approved or maybe could be rejected. And in terms of other financial institutions, besides multi-finance, fintech peer-to-peer lending, we also have the insurance part. Of course, we have insurance. How insurance using our credit scoring, they use for the premi, Pak. So it means that they can see that this person have another loan in other company or not. So it means that it can be sustained or not to pay the premium. So sometimes that people who has a loan in the, say, banks, multi-finance or fintech peer-to-peer lending, perhaps they will prioritize to pay the loan first to others company, Pak. So it means that because the credit scoring is calculated by behavior of payment from those kind of the finance company or the financial institution company. So it means that it can use by insurance company to predict that this is person is can pay to premium or it can be default in the next 12 months. So I think that there's some kind of use case that can be used in the insurance company. Thank you, Pak.
Okay, thank you, Pak Abi. So is it okay, Pak Suarjono? Okay, great. So I have one more question. I think that Pak Leo, apologies. I think the time is very limited, but we'll see. So hopefully, yeah, please, Pak.
Okay, I'm Toh Hock Chai from Malaysia. Okay, I have worked as a regulator in Malaysia, the Central Bank of Malaysia, and has about 10 years working with the PCR. Okay, so when we look at the access to finance, particularly MSMEs, I always classify them from the macro perspective of three categories. Of course, the tier 1 categories is easy for them to access to finance. Okay, and the tier 2 are the middle part of it, or the gray area, whereby the PCB have a role by helping them to get a score because they don't have the data or the records to convince the bank to grant them the credit. Okay, so over yesterday and this morning, what I heard a lot of effort being put in to find alternative data, okay, or innovative scoring system. But what I'm not hearing is that the third layer of them, those cannot access to finance because lack of financial education, lack of understanding of how the scoring works. So who is responsible to take care of this group, which I believe might be quite sizable as well, in terms of should it be the authority, OJK or central bank, in terms of educating them to be so-called financial, improve their literacy, okay, or is it the PCBs that can work with authority within the ecosystem so that it's more inclusive to cover all the 3 tiers instead of, I know the PCB is focusing on middle path a lot, try to get alternative data, try to get the scoring and get them into access to finance. But the lowest tier, whose responsibility or what can be done in the sense? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tohok Chai. Yeah, this is access to finance for MSMEs. I think everyone can speak on behalf of, for the companies, or maybe stating from the views from each of the personal views. So this is like related to the financial literacy. So this is the third layer that what Tohok Chai is mentioning, that this is something that we miss during our discussion. There's something that we don't speak on that one. So any views on from the bureau, from the ICS, and also from the players? So how do you think about this one? Is it only government who has the the responsibilities to do some financial literacy for all Indonesian, or you are also playing the same roles again? So please.
Okay.
Oh,
I can
Pak Faisal?
take
Okay.
that. I think it is not only the responsibility of the government. I think it is the responsibility also of the lenders, and more so of the lenders, because it makes actually a commercial sense also, apart from financial literacy. We have seen that if in a household, the female in the house is financially literate, the performance of that loan significantly jumps. So there is a commercial sense. So it's primarily for that reason we have set up a separate portal for financial education. So as a lender, as a group of lender, we have to make sure that the borrowing is prudent and not only pushing the, say, consumption borrowing. So it's more that over here we have productive borrowing, and that's primarily that every time when we are lending, we should make sure that the borrower can be educated what's a prudent borrowing.
Okay. Any additional?
Probably I would like to add, I think we're talking about the bottom of the segment, right? The tier 3 and the bottom of that part. The most forgotten segment, I would say, right? I think there's one common thing that not everybody has probably an e-commerce account, or not everybody has something that is very digital finance, like an ERP or e-procurement. We talk about a level lower again. But I think there's one common thing, is either telco or electricity that the persons have. I think electricity has 99.5 penetration rate in Indonesia. So I think in a household, that would be helpful if actually the government is helping also to talk to the electricity company, right? So actually we can help to finance, or we can give a rating, or normally in a loan they ask for electricity bills the last 3 months, right? I think that's part of what we do at the moment manually. But if that can be done more automatic, and it can be helpful to give a score for the household, that could be helpful for that most forgotten part.
Okay, Pak Adrian, please.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah, I think I agree with what Peter mentioned, right? The lowest part of the pyramid, what we call the micro or nano micro. Indonesia, I believe, statistically has around 60 million of that. Again, I agree with what Pak Peter mentioned. However, there's an additional element that we also need to consider, especially when you do this type of micro lending or nano lending in Indonesia, is geographically it's very challenging. And number two, the collection effort, repayment effort, it has a different profile or a different model compared to the traditional, right? So, okay, you're able to assess, but how do you maintain the quality of the credit? How do you do repayments? Because you need to do a different type of profile in terms of the repayments. It has to be a weekly payment, weekly visits. I think what we have done using our model is, again, we work with closed loop ecosystem. So you have a community base, which typically works well in Indonesia for these type of profile of segments. Because then you have not only are able to get information or data from these micro entrepreneurs, but also the account maintenance process is much more efficient, being done through that closed loop ecosystem. So that is one aspect of credit that we also need to understand. It's not only the scoring part, but credit maintenance, the middle office and the back office, that also needs to be efficient. And ideally, it can be working closely and seamlessly. Otherwise, the challenge would be the cost, right? How do you cover the cost of geographies or very remote areas? Does it make, in terms of the OPEX, does it cover? So I think the other aspect that we see in terms of reaching out to these smaller segments is going through community-based lending model, which we've seen working quite well. And now with digitization, you see many of the digital players also trying to penetrate into these markets. We know what Gojek is doing. You have smaller merchants up to I would say the fourth tier is being served now by some of these supply chain players. So from wholesalers directly to very remote tier 4 cities supplying basic food groups like flour or rice. And so this is where the productive supply chain SME is also reaching the micro level. And again, as lenders, I believe how we can connect to these type of, I would say, community ecosystem in a efficient and ideally tech-enabled, so that it is optimal in terms of getting the data, getting the information, and then scaling or growing from there.
Okay. Yeah, great. Thank you very much, Pak Adrian, for the rest. Maybe for the last questions, but the timing is very tight. Let's see, can we have it still? Can I have one more questions? Okay, Pale, if you, nope, no need? Okay. I think the timing is very tight. Again, we have 6 panelists, and I welcome for everyone from the panelists. If you have any closing remarks, please do. And then we're gonna wrap up this panel. So any closing remarks for Pak Abi?
Yeah, I think that we still have a big homework regarding the financial inclusion in Indonesia. So I think that we can work alone. So in this credit bureau industry, we have 3 players in the credit bureau. We have also SLIC, OJK, also PCR, and we have also ICS. So I mean that we can do a great collaboration to give the provide or more better in the credit information, especially to serve many tiers in our society. But again, we need a clear framework, clear regulations, how to manage all these kind of players in industry. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything about?
I think all data is credit data. So I think, just to add from Abi, I think this framework, the legal framework that we can use to collaborate between the private sectors, the government sector, the semi-government sectors like BUMN or like Badan, and the private, they all be able to collaborate and exchange information that is required for the purpose of financial inclusion. So we need to have that confidence laid by the regulator so that we all can collaborate with confidence and legally, right? So I think that is the important one. We would like to ask, if possible, for that guidelines and the framework. Thank you.
Okay, great. Pak Thomas, do you have?
Yeah, from my side, I would also confirm that would be great if there is like a very clear path of where the credit bureaus will go. And it would be great definitely to include more and more data inside of the credit bureaus itself, means data such as income or data from the insurance companies or investment companies and other type of data. And as well, if more and more players would have access to the credit bureau, it means they can benefit from having more precise risk management while using the data. And as well, those, let's say, additional services around credit bureaus, it means the financial education, which was already mentioned, but as well the services after. It means if the client have bad credit record, what he practically should do, who will help him, who will consult him, what's the practical steps he can do, and as well the help for lenders. It means strengthen the executions, strengthen the legal collections, and regulate more collection itself.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay. I think we all talk about the credit registry, and we all talk about the importance of data, but it may be good to have a data registry. What I mean is I take my learning from India and Estonia. that a foundation layer of data is required. We all have talked in last 2 days about the importance of data, but data sits at various, as Adrian was mentioning, islands. But can we have a layer of data which has SLIC data, FDC data, insurance data, telecom data, e-commerce data, ride-hailing data? Imagine if you have that kind of data, doing the financial inclusion is not really difficult. Building the models on top of it and lending out is easy on top of it. It's primarily the structured data and the mapping of the data which is the most difficult part. Yep.
Okay, thanks. Adrian?
I think the other panelists have summed it well, but I think this is a very timely session. Again, post-COVID, we see a positive trend on the recovery. We've seen how data digitization has changed. So I think Indonesia is in the right place and the right time. Looking forward to action, I guess, collaboration, and really seeing how credit and information for MSME can enhance access to finance for the SME and create that multiplier effect.
Okay, great. Thanks. Pak Arya, close.
Okay, I think as long as in line with the individual data protection, I think we can create a data interconnection so it can reduce operational costs and reduce risk for all of us.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for the end of closing remarks for Pak Arya. So we close the panel for today, and thank you very much again for the questions. Thank you for the panelists, and that's a wrap up from my side. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much to all speakers and moderator. We invite you to take a group photo. Also apologize, ladies and gentlemen, as we have very limited time before the Friday prayer, so we couldn't have like the last question. Apologize. Okay, on 3, 2, 1. And to save time for your token of appreciation for all speakers and moderator will be delivered to your desk. Okay, please give a round of applause to all speakers and moderators from the first session of today's seminar. Ladies and gentlemen, and now we will proceed to the next panel discussion seminar, bringing up the topic of Indonesia credit reporting landscape, input and expectation from the industry. This session will be moderated by the Independent Supervisory Board member of INA and Chairman of Creator Indonesia, Bapak Cyril Nurhadi. Pak Cyril is on the Supervisory Board of INA as independent member and is one of Indonesia's leading investors as well as the co-founder of the financial firm Creator Indonesia. He is actively involved in various investment transactions in Southeast Asia and South Asia, including India, Malaysia, and Vietnam. He is also a commissioner of PT Medika Loka, an independent commissioner of PT Austindo Nusantara Jaya. He holds a bachelor's degree in petroleum geology from the Bandung Institute of Technology, holds an MBA in finance and economics from the University of Houston, and a PhD in strategic management from the University of Indonesia with a cum laude predicate. Some of his previous roles, he was a president commissioner of PT Mandiri Sekuritas, President Director or Senior Managing Director of PT Creator, Commissioner of Medco Downstream Indonesia, Director and CFO of PT Medco Energy International, Partner of Corporate and Finance of PwC, and President or CEO of IDX. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome Bapak Cyril Nurhadi.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan, salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. So I think good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Pak Mirza, Pak Ogi, Pak Bambang, thank you for still being here in the last session. I know it's not easy, the last session on Friday, last day of the week. So I think first and foremost, I would thank very much to Otoritas Jasa Keuangan for inviting me as moderator for this last session. So I guess this session is inviting 4 speakers, 4 panelists, and I would share the topic for this session. When the 4 speakers are here, let me invite the 4 panelists from the players, the producers of data scoring from PT KBIJ, Kredit Biro Indonesia Jaya, Mr. Anton Adiwibowo. Please come to the floor. Yes, so let me introduce Pak Anton. Thank you, Pak Anton, please. So, Pak Anton has been in the financial industry for 19 years and has been as a commercial director at PT KBIJ. And of course, previously he's been working in financial technology for 16 years. So it's remarkable performance of Pak Anton, being one of the director at PT KBIJ, one of the 3 credit scoring bureau in Indonesia. And for the second speaker, let me invite Mr. Leo Laperlorsia. Pak Leo, I call it Pak Leo. Mr. Leo has been in Indonesia for, good morning Pak Leo, good morning Pak Anton. So, Mr. Leo has been in Indonesia for some time. I know him maybe for like 8 years ago, 7-8 years ago. He's been very determined in participating and contributing the role of the credit bureau in Indonesia. And congratulations, and you are now the CEO of PT Klik, not Slick, but CLIK. Correct, okay, that's good, thank you. Belum, all right, thank you. The third speaker would be Pak Johannes Arts Abimanyu, as you know, the speaker, CEO of PT Pevindo Credit Bureau. And of course, everyone knows Pak Abi. It's been because of the previous speaker of the previous session. Thank you. Good morning, Pak Abi. Anton, belum salam. All right, now the last speaker is Pak Diki Wijaya to represent the Association of Financial Technology. So Pak Diki Wijaya as a Deputy Secretary General of AFTEC. And Pak Diki has been in the industry also for some times, and as the player and graduated from the University of Michigan Ann Arbor in the business, general business, right? Okay, so I think thank you very much for the 4 panelists today. I think we still have time until 11:30, so not much time we have today, but would like to capture from the 4 panelists in terms of 3 important topics. How importance of the accurate credit reportings, because that reporting or information is going to be used by the lenders for decision making. Up to them whether they would give the loan or not on the basis of accurate credit reporting. As we also listened to the previous session, that of course they are a producer of data and users of data, like including the BPD Bali, has different region and very segmented market. as well as the producer data, not only the credit bureau, but also alternative or innovative credit scoring. We're using other financial data, the telco data, the actually e-procurement data that's been discussed as well. So I think today they are, I would like to hear from each panelist on how importance of accurate credit reporting and how the accurate credit reporting is developed in terms of the need for the users. I think that's the first topic on that one. Please, maybe Pa Anton as the first speaker or panelist.
Hello? Sorry. Okay, sorry. Thank you, Pak. So, good morning, everybody. So, I think the progress and the development of credit bureau in this country is something that we should not put aside, right? Because it is it has the roles in economic growth, financial inclusion as well, and the significance of providing an accurate output and helping and enabling the financial institutions in the market in the country is actually very important. And nowadays, financial inclusion is also one of the topics and actually main topics lately in this country and in the world, if I say, right? So I think that's the short comment from me first.
Okay.
So I let the other players also can comment on this one.
Thank you, Anton. Please, Leo.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for inviting us and allowing us to talk. I think my answer is a little bit more, I'll take a step back. I think the Public Credit Registry, or OJK, has the primary role of helping the private sector operator creating a robust data source. Okay, and you have the authority and the reach and the market to force a data contribution. Now you have PCBs that are the sort of private sector partners of OJK to actually disseminate that data while improving the data quality of the data asset itself. The usability of the incredible amount of data in SLIC profoundly depends on the type of nitty-gritty work that the private sector bureaus can do on top of the data. And while they improve the data quality from the PCR, they also continue working and investing an incredible amount of time and money adding data sources and building on top of this universe of data some features that makes it a little bit more usable. Whether it's a responsive API, whether it's aggregators, whether it's a number of scoring, and so on. Now finally, you have the ICS, which are also a fundamental part of the ingredient that essentially elaborate in a very creative and hyper-specialized way real-life applications of a more complex universe of data. So I think the government in the last 15 years has done a wonderful job of creating a very robust and effective infrastructure to enable bureaus, scoring companies, and banks to take benefit of this. And I've worked in a bunch of countries setting up bureaus. Our time to market with very high level value products in Indonesia has been unprecedented. So it's both a comment and a thank you for OJK for creating such a well-functioning sort of regulatory environment. There's still a lot of points that we would like to correct or address or work with OJK to improve further, but I won't take much time and leave Babi the possibility to comment on this question as well.
Thank you, Leo. Please, Babi.
Okay, thank you. First of all, that I would like to thank OJK that this first time the 3 LPAP can in one stage. Semangat. So we are competitor here.
It shows good collaboration.
But we can still work together, okay? Agree, guys? Agree, okay. Let's
One big happy family.
So yeah, basically that the development of credit bureau in Indonesia is very significant progress. So yeah, since the inception, our data is increased more, better and better. So I mean that, yes, you know that the first time we running this business, we have a challenge in the data quality. How we can cleansing, the data cleansing of the central banks and of course the OJK, the slick OJK for the first time. But time from time that we have the good methodology, fuzzy logic, matching, and then we can clean the data more better and better. So that's the one thing. The second thing is that our database from the credit data is increased more than 20%. What is that? Because we are collecting not only from the data from Slick OJK, but also we collecting the data from other financial institutions, which is not reporting to the Slick. So it means that we can increase in comprehensive way about our credit data. Other than that, we also collaborate with alternative data. So it means that Credit Bureau as our mandate in POJK, that we also collect the other data. So to financial inclusion. So it means that we also collect the alternative data. Telco data, we collaborate with telco data. We collaborate with e-commerce data. We collaborate with BPJS-TK. We collaborate with tax data. So it means that we can increase our data subjects in our database. So this is kind of our works in the last 5 years, yeah, guys? Okay.
We have to estimate the combined data enrichment activity of the 3 bureaus yesterday over coffee.
Right.
And most likely we've added another 20% of subjects in our database combined. So now there is more people reported in a private credit bureau, which are not in the public credit bureau and are not in the scoring company. And the data dimension means that we have many more details on this larger group of people, almost doubling the total data size managed today by Slick. So one thing is the perceived reality of the credit bureau growth. One thing is what we're trying to do now, report on the actual progression in terms of organic growth of our data, bandwidth, and capability, as well as quality. Sorry, Pak.
Okay, thank you, Leo.
Teamwork.
Okay.
That shows collaboration. Okay, thank you, Pak Anton, please. Pak Diki, sorry.
Thank you, Nazara. I think I agree with what Leo just said earlier. OJK has been building, and BI as well in the beginning, how to the public credit registry, and it's a very good start. And now with the private credit bureau, the amount of data that's available for any financial institution to help disburse credit, it's so much more, right? But we do know that the target from the government for financial inclusion, and not just unbanked, but also the underbanked segment, it's very high. And if we can see the data, the market decides for itself. Even though there's PCRs available, PCB is also available, why is it that in AFTEC itself, the cluster for ICS, Innovative Credit Scoring, is probably one of the fastest growing segment. There are 20 ICS companies out there. Why? Because the market still needs it. It shows the resiliency of Indonesian companies in terms of supporting what our government wants us to do, which is to give credit. And we always want to grow and find a better way to figure out whether someone is creditworthy or not. Because if we're just only using PCR or PCB, there's 47% which is still credit invisible. So we need alternative credit, innovative credit scoring, to help figure out how to give credits to this credit invisible, those with thin file. Now, eventually, once the financial institution working with ICS can disburse the loan, they create some kind of credit history, it becomes a thick file, then the big brother here, the big brothers, I feel like I'm a younger brother since I'm ICS, representing ICS, but the big brothers can then take care of these guys and perhaps share the profile to bigger players. So as someone who just entered the kind of the credit world, they probably needs ICS helps, but eventually it will be taken care of by the other players as well.
Very good, thank you. Thank you, Pak Diki.
Pak Cyril.
Yes, go ahead,
Can
please.
I chime in on this? Just one second. So first of all, one concept that I would like to introduce. Financial penetration is a buzzword that more or less every speaker is mentioning. But I think Indonesia, it's not in a situation where it has to have the top one priority as financial penetration. Indonesia needs financial deepening. Like we need to bring a higher quality credit to the middle class. That is why the total outstanding of the country, it is not growing at the rate that it should. Okay. We have included from July to October 22% more borrowers, but the outstanding, even in the words of Mirza before, has grown only 12%. And we're also seeing an incredible spike of number of facilities, which means that people take many, many more loans, but for a very, very small amount of money with very big high interest rate, which has caused a spike in, and I won't say NPLs, because NPLs, it's an accounting measure that is differently applied from segment to segment. But if you look at the early delinquencies, especially in a market dominated by buy now, pay later, or fintechs, where the duration is very short, your early delinquency indicator, it's a true indicator of if this credit growth quality is good or can be improved. The second comment that I would like to make is that both on the financial inclusion or the financial deepening part, the collaboration between ICS and Credit Bureau, it's slightly different. I was talking also to a banker today, and the idea that the score is a commodity available to every bank flattens the competition. ICS work hand in hand with individual lenders, creating secret recipes that are eventually licensed exclusively to the bank, working specifically with their data, target clientele and whatnot. Bureaus are wholesaler of high quality data, quickly and cheaply available, that then power these advanced algorithms that become the distinguished factors between Akulaku, Credivo, BRI, BNI, and so on, that have to compete on the quality of their data team, on how much they invest on the different landscapes of data available there. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Leo. Thank you, Pak Diki. So I guess for the first topic on the accurate credit reporting, just referring to the Vice Minister of Finance statement in terms of financial inclusion, and also Leo mentioned about financial inclusion, and Pak Diki mentioned about the banking customers and unbanked, also underbanked. It's very important what Pak Abi mentioned, that the data, source data is very important. The reliability of data source is very important. And those could come from either combination of slick and non-slick data, right? And number two is processing the data itself, cleansing the data. That might not be the users or the lenders doing that. The focus is really the credit bureau, processing and cleansing the data with the methodology, of course, with some algorithmic process and everything. And of course, also the size of the data. It's so much increasing, and if financial inclusion become the target, it's very important to have a sizable, reliable, relevant data to process by the credit bureau, as well as, of course, alternative or innovative credit scoring. So I think that's the topic number one, right? So I think that's one. Of course, we'll leave to the audience to raise questions after this. Second topic, before I go to the last, Pak Abi, Pak Leo, and also Pak Anton mentioned about collaboration between the industry player. So how actually the three credit bureau players in Indonesia today, there are only three, right? And of course, there are plenty number of alternative credit scoring, collaborate with the others. Please, Pak Anton.
Okay, thank you, Pak. So I think OJK already has done a tremendous job, very good job on placing the basis first. And even last year on the last POJK 5 mentioning and encouraging credit bureau to also utilize this alternative data as well. That's very good. Now, the frame though still need to be, we are very appreciative if the frame, the clear frame, the working dynamics between the PCR, PCB, and the ICS can be structured in not in overlapping process, right? So and by having this, a PCB should has still the full access to the SLIC OJK data, and the reasoning behind that is actually for the benefit of the country itself. First is for the economic growth, and the second is for the financial inclusions. And by collaborating with the ICS, now it will then strengthen in the offering that we provide to the market, the innovative scores, the innovative solutions that will then answer the pain points, the real pain points that the lenders are already having right now. Leo mentioned that the growth is actually not that big, right? The solution is actually by applying a clear framework that is not overlapping between PCR, PCB, and ICS. Then the collaboration will then take this credit scoring solutions to another level of providing the solutions. I think that's for me, Pak Cyril.
Okay, thank you, Pak Anton. Please, Leo. You just mentioned actually about the collaboration. Please do.
I'll try and chime in what Anton mentioned. I think today there is one last push that needs to be done in order to really stimulate the adoption of private credit bureau data as the primary source of credit data as well as alternative data that will also enable us to exponentially grow the data coverage and the innovation, which is the sort of transition from legacy and obsolete systems. So since 2007, 6, SID and then later SLIC have been the mainstay for all the prime lending financial institutions. And SID and later SLIC had limited possibility to work on the quality of data and expanding the data source because it's a very capital intensive activity that is more likely handled or more effectively handled by the private sector with reiterated investments and research and innovation. The fact that a legacy system like SLIC have perdured still exists has strongly disincentivated the primary financial institutions, bank, multi-finance, that have seamless access to SLIC, and it's non-synchronous, it takes 40 minutes to get the data, sometimes it's down, there is no matching, pushing many of the operators to use suboptimal market practices. It's kind of like trying to go green, going electrical, yeah, and going with electric vehicles, but maintaining subsidies on fuel.
All right, thank you.
It cannot happen if we don't incentivize all the stakeholders involved. We need to go to real-time lending, and we need to incorporate credit risk variables at the first point of contact with the consumer. The reason why FinTech and BNPL has grown so much, one of the reasons, besides the fact that they're being chaired by very visionary and successful entrepreneur, is because in a period of crisis like COVID, if I need money today. If the average turnaround time of the bank is 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, it is not as useful to the consumer as it could be if I get the disbursement today in my e-wallet and I can put gas in my Gojek, or I can pay the doctor, or I can pay whatever it is I need. So not many banks have been able to do real-time disbursement at scale, also because of the legacy technology that they are integrated with.
Thank you. Abi?
Okay, Pak. So basically that we are already collaborate with some of ICS. So, sudah. Okay, yes.
True.
So do PBK. We PBK already collaborate with one or two ICS, and we launched some kind of a product with ICS. So I cannot mention the name. So so it means that it means that it's still possibility to work collaborate with ICS. But again, the credit data is still important. Credit data is very important and powerful data to make a predictions compared to the alternative data. That's number one. So it means that the credit bureau should keep maintain the credit data in order to work together with the ICS. That's number one. Number two is regarding the technology. So because of the ICS, we need to separate the role of the PCB and also the ICS. I mean that based on the POJK, PCB, LPAP could collect and manage all data. But how about the ICS? Is ICS could collect or manage all data or not? That's the basic question that we need to answer. I mean that if the ICS could also collect and manage data, it means they need to more regulate, right? With the same level with the PCB. So because we are facing with the PDP, right? Undang-undang PDP. So it means that we need to be careful regarding with this kind of regulations, and we need to have the same play on field regarding of this kind.
Thank you. Thank you, Pak Abi. Thank you. Silakan Pak Diki. Please.
Sorry.
I think time is very limited. I don't know whether 5 minutes only. Sorry, remaining total.
I think for ICS, the key is this. ICS called an innovative credit scoring. We use alternative data sources, and we actually operate in regulatory sandbox. All three is the perception is we are an experimental credit scoring company. We experiment with new data, we experiment with new algorithm, which I think a lot of, like the big brothers, the PCB, probably cannot afford or cannot have the time or willing to invest. ICS, a lot of us are startups, we are willing to take the chance and working with individual financial institutions or eventually work with PCBs, we push the envelope, we figure new things, we try new things. And that's, I think, where the value of ICS lies. We push the boundaries of what is possible, and that's why I think why a lot of fintech lending or BNPL work together with ICS. They can't compete with the bigger banks, right? So they can't target the same market. So you have to target the kind of the underbanked, the unbanked, in which it's a very limited information available on their credit history, and that's why ICS can support fintech lending or even BNPL to target those segments that has probably very thin file.
So thank you, Pak Diki. So just to think of what the red line, what the four panelists giving, it's actually referring to Pak Mirza opening speech, which is collaborate. It's collaboration. It's not only the players level, which is Pak Leo, Pak Anton, also Pak Abi mentioned, also Pak Diki. This is collaboration at the regulator as well, what Pak Mirza mentioned. It's not only the one who regulate LPIP, which is the credit bureau, is under the banking division or unit within OJK, and as well as ACS is regulated under the information, digital technology. It's different, but collaboration, I think, is very important, as well as the ecosystem, the players, stakeholders. Very good. Okay, thank you. So I guess that's the second topic. I hope I still have time. Maybe just last topic. What is the final closing remarks? 1 minute each, please, before questions from the audience. Please, go in line. Okay, go, please. Maybe starting from Pak Diki. Let's start from Pak Diki.
I think the last few years, ICS has been growing. Of course, this is thanks to the support from the OJK team with the regulatory sandbox and everything. As the industry matures, as the company also grows, I think there will come a time where we need a certainty in terms of the regulation itself. Why? So that at the end of the day, it's about consumer protection. Experiment doesn't mean we do not protect the consumers itself. So the graduation from regulatory sandbox to the next phase, I think it's upon us. It's what the industry and OJK is currently having discussion as well. But I think that's the next step to make sure that ICS can operate properly, as well as provide more value, not just to our collaborators such as PCB or PCR, but also to other financial institutions.
Thank you, Pak Diki. While the other three panelists going to give the final remarks, maybe 2 questions from the floor may be prepared after Pak Diki giving the last, Pak Anton giving the last comment. Please, Pak Abi.
Thank you, President. So basically that my previous session that we still have a big homework regarding the financial inclusion and credit penetrations. So, but again, we have 3 players, I mean, in the segment here, SLIC OJK, PCR, PCB, and also ICS. There is still be a clear roadmap in the terms of the SLIC OJK, PCB, and also ICS. What should we do in the next 10 years, perhaps, or next 20 years, perhaps? So it means that we can plan our business plan into the next future. So in other that also we can also promote the financial inclusion. So I mean that we cannot overlap our role in this kind of the 3 segments here. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, Leo. You know, see the time's up already, so but
Time has been up for 10 minutes, and I really thank you, all of the audience, for the continued attention despite being Friday and almost, late on the prayer time. So my final consideration is we're only 3 companies, and we're very small in size. And I'm very grateful that we're receiving so much attention, visibility, and space in a forum like this. It is truly appreciated. It is a very knitted community also worldwide. We meet with credit bureau professionals in rooms that are as big as this, because there's not a lot of operators. But yet, we are small. We can actually enable economic growth in a very exponential way. Everybody talks about eventually consumer-facing brand like Ferrari or Maserati, McLaren, and nobody talks about the performance oil in the engine, or the wheels, those kind of things that make sure that the piston goes up and down. Yes, it's 700 horsepower, it's a big bank, has a lot of capital, it can deploy, but that data, the quality of that data can actually make or break the performance of these very large industries. So despite being small, we have a ripple effect that can really be a multiplier to, let's say, long-term consumer lending and, productive loans to boost the living conditions of the Indonesian people and the economic growth of the country. So again, thank you very much for giving us this space. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Leo. Okay, go please, Pandan.
Okay, thank you, Pak. So just, for me, I think just want to share, stress one thing. Going forward, I think what we really need in this industry and on the economic growth going forward is clear, clear regulatory framework, clear and fair regulatory framework. And because that then will then create a clear working dynamics between the PCR, PCB, and ICS. In the same time, will also then hinder the overlapping, and that then will in the end will resulting in counterproductive results.
Okay, thank you.
That's
thank
for
you.
me.
Thank you, Panton. I think just one last question, if possible, from the floor, if any, please. Yes, raise the hand. Okay, one last one. Sorry for the time limit already been actually informed in the last 5 minutes. Okay, please.
Okay, Moderator, thank you very much for giving me a last question before closing this seminar. During the 2 days, I'd like to just comment about the PCR, PCB, financial inclusion, ICS. Sounds good. To my big point, the most important thing is, all the players has is the social responsibility concept or not. PCB already got the license from the government. What's your mission? I believe your mission is not to make much money, to maximize the profit. The basic concept is to keep the social responsibility for whom? I think for consumer, credit consumer. Most of you is a company's profit come from the subprime customer. Super prime customer do not need that kind of services actually. And to keep this data accuracy, that's very important. Who has the responsibility of data accuracy? Even in US market, 100% is not correct. Even in Korea running the PCR, the database is, the data accuracy is 100% is correct? No. Think about that. Who has the responsibility of the data accuracy? That is very, very important in starting the credit bureau business in industries. In doing the data analytics, the concept garbage in, garbage out. I think to make it is data accuracy, all the players must join all together. PCB, okay, is passed to these PCR, PCR passed to the financial institutions, financial institutions passed to these PCB or PCR. No, I don't think so. All players to do that. Consumer positively joined together in this table. So, credit report inquiry data should be selected for the data accuracy. In that case, the fintech it could be a good channel through this my data. There are many fintech players. If they provide a consumer credit report, is joined with a PCR, PCB, to make the consumer check their credit report regularly. If they found there's something wrong and incorrect data, so it's through the customer complaints, the data can be corrected. That's very important. So I hope all the players should have the social responsibility. That's the first. Indonesia credit market is not mature yet, immature. What kind of a financial product can make the credit market mature? Look at the US market. I think the credit card product has made it. Yesterday I mentioned about the Korea. We had a credit card crisis. That was bad cases. But we changed into a good thing. On the basis of these huge negative databases, we found out the remaining population has a liability to get a credit card. And in Indonesia, what kind of financial product can be triggered to the credit market mature? Could be this two-wheel. Most of the young guys when they grown up in the society, try to buy the used two-wheel or is a new two-wheel. That's the first product by the credit, right?
Okay. All right. Good.
Thank you very much. That's all. It's time limited, I think.
Yeah. I think we should not maybe comment on that. We all believe that, of course, social responsibility is all in our heart, should be there. Of course, regulators are there, data providers are there. I think the comments is very remarkable comment, is good comment, input for the industry ecosystem in Indonesia in terms of credit reporting systems. Thank you very much. I think all agree with that. Thank you very much. Big applause to all the 4 panelists. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much to all the remarkable speakers and moderator. Please stay on stage to take a group photo. Kindly stay on stage to take a group photo first. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's the end of the seminar session. But lastly, we're gonna have closing remarks that will be delivered by the one and only OJK Department Head of Other Financial Institution Supervision. But prior to that, let's give a round of applause for all the speakers and moderator in our seminar, both from day 1 and day 2. Thank you very much, sir. You may be seated. And to save time, gentlemen, your token of appreciation will be delivered to your desk. Thank you very much for a very insightful session. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the closing remarks of today's seminar session will be delivered by the OJK Department Head of Other Financial Institution Supervision, Bapak Triyono. Please welcome and give a round of applause to the one and only Bapak Triyono.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Swastiastu, salam kebajikan, namo budaya. The Honorable Pak Mirza Adityaswara, the Vice Chairman of OJK, and certainly Pak Ogi Prastomyono, the Chief Executive of Non-Bank Financial Institution Supervision of OJK, and Pak Bambang Budiawan, Deputy Commissioner of Financial Institution of Other Financial Services, my colleagues from head of regional OJK regional offices, directors and deputy directors in OJK, and Pak Siri Nur Hadi as the Independent Supervisory Board member of Creator Indonesia, and Mr. Kevin, Senior Managing Director of Creator, and Pak Ivo, Honorable Representative of associations, and all speakers and moderators. Good afternoon, and may peace be upon us all. First of all, let us give our gratitude to God Almighty because of this, with His blessing and grace, we have come to the end of the OJK International Seminar with the theme Synergy of Public Credit Registry, Public Credit Bureau, and Innovative Credit Scoring in driving the financial inclusion enhancement. We have been held the seminar for 2 days, and I guess this has been a very successful event that we have already held in OJK. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the speakers, organizers, and all participants who have taken this part of this today's event so that the event could smoothly as we planned. And hopefully, this event can contribute to the development of Indonesian economy, especially increasing to the role of the bottom of pyramid societies and increasing Indonesian financial inclusion as well. The today's series of activities provided valuable insights in the role of public credit registry, private credit bureau, and then innovative credit scoring in accelerating the financial inclusion, as well as the development, issues and governance and supervision for LPIP and ICS. And thank you for enriching us in OJK in increasing our understanding in those important topics. Respectable ladies and gentlemen, as we all know from the discussion that we all agree that having access to credit can allow individuals and business to invest in their human capital and operations, which in turn may lead to a reduction in society inequality and stimulate the economic growth. Yesterday, Pak Ogi clearly explained the need of credit scoring services in promoting good governance credit in credit businesses. A lot of researches and experiences show that credit scoring could mitigate credit risk and bring very significant positive impulse to the financial businesses. As stated by Pak Mirza Adityaswara, this seminar is a collaborative product from so many angles, so that it could be very enriching in terms of giving a new perspective. The government perspective that aim to increase the level of inclusion, the Financial Service Authority perspective to support and increase effectiveness of credit scoring industry in performing their roles. Association perspective that demand the availability to proper regulation, and then certainly the perspective from the industry that hope to build a very supportive business in Indonesia. Furthermore, this international seminar was graced by the presence of more than 20 distinguished guests and renowned speakers from financial regulators in Korea, Egypt, Malaysia, as well as representatives from various associations in the banking, insurance, financing, fintech, and credit information sectors, both domestically and internationally. Their presence and contributions added significant value to the seminar, enriching the discussions and knowledge sharing on innovative approaches to accelerating financial inclusion. This seminar was a rare opportunity to learn from the best and to strengthen collaboration and partnership towards the more inclusive, sustainable ecosystem. The two-day seminar is not only significant in sharing knowledge and expertise, but also aligns with Indonesia's role as the host of ASEAN Summit in 2023. With the theme ASEAN Matter, Epicentrum of Growth, Indonesia highlights the importance of ASEAN in the global economy. As a nation, we aim to promote financial inclusion by utilizing credit scoring in the financial sector. Finally, I hope that everyone who attended this event in the past 2 days found it useful and gained insights that can contribute to the advancement of the economy in Indonesia as the new region. Once again, I would like to express my gratitude to all those who took part in this event. I apologize for any shortcomings that have occurred during the deliberations. May all our best be blessed by God Almighty. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Pak Triyono, for a closing remarks and for the wrap up of our 2 days event. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the break session of Friday prayer and lunch, which is also the end of the seminar session. This is also the end of the whole event of our 2 days event. From yesterday to today, it's the end, because after that, after lunch, the FGD session will be closed and limited only for the internal of Department of Other Financial Institutions Supervision of OJK. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank all moderators, speakers, and all distinguished participants for taking the time to join us. Your commitment to promoting digital finance inclusion for consumers and MSMEs through the use of credit scoring is truly appreciated. We hope to see you again at OJK's upcoming events. Salam kebajikan, Santi, Santi, Santi Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Kami informasikan kepada bapak-bapak yang akan melaksanakan ibadah sholat Jumat. Ibadah sholat Jumat akan dilaksanakan di musola hotel. Adapun musola terletak di samping venue kegiatan, di sebelah belakang Bapak Ibu sekalian. Sekali lagi, untuk ibadah sholat Jumat dapat dilaksanakan di ruang samping venue kegiatan atau di belakang Bapak Ibu sekalian. And for the lunch, ladies and gentlemen, it is also provided at the hotel's restaurant, namely Green Restaurant under the lobby.